Ezekiel chapter 31, Fall of the Haughty Cedar. On the first day of the third month of the 11th year, the word of Adonai came to me, saying, Son of man, say to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to his multitude, who is like you in your greatness? Behold, Assyria was a cedar in Lebanon with beautiful branches shadowing the forests of lofty height. Its top was in leafy branches, water nourished it. The deep made it tall, with its rivers going around its planting as it sent out its watercourses to all the trees of the field. Therefore, its height was loftier than all the trees of the field. Its branches multiplied, and its boughs became long because of the abundant water in its shoots. All the birds of the sky nested in its branches. All the beasts of the field gave birth to their young under its branches. All great nations lived under its shade. It was beautiful in its greatness and the length of its branches, for its root was in abundant water. The cedars in the garden of God could not compare with it. No cypress trees could rival its boughs. No plane trees could match its branches. No tree in the garden of God could compare it to its beauty. I made it beautiful with its many limbs. All the trees of Eden in God's garden envied it. Therefore, thus says Adonai Elohim, because you were exalted in height, its top set up among leafy branches, its heart haughty in its height, I gave it into the hand of a ruler of nations who surely dealt with it. I drove it out as befits its wickedness. Ruthless barbarians from the nations cut it down. They cast it down on the mountains, and in all the valleys its branches fell. Its branches have laid broken. In all the stream beds of the land, all the people of the earth have come out from the shade and abandoned it. All the birds of the sky lived on its fallen trunk, and all the beasts of the field upon its fallen branches. So none of the trees by the water should exalt themselves in their height, or set their top among the leafy boughs. None of their well-watered mighty ones should attain their height, for they have all been given to death, for the lowest regions under the earth among the children of men who go down to the pit. Thus says Adonai Elohim, in the day when he went down to Sheol, I caused the deep to mourn and cover itself for him. I restrained its rivers, so the great waters were stopped. I made Lebanon mourn for him. All the trees of the field wilt away for it. I made the nations tremble at the sound of its fall, when I cast him down to Sheol with those who descended into the pit. All the well-watered trees of Eden, the choice of the best of Lebanon, were comforted in the lowest parts of the earth. They also went down with him to Sheol, to those slain by the sword, those who were his mighty arm, who lived in the shadow among nations, who is like you in the glory and greatness among the trees of Eden. You will be brought down with the trees of Eden to the lowest parts of the earth. You will lie among the uncircumcised with those slain by the sword. This is Pharaoh and all his multitude. It is a declaration of Adonai. Ezekiel 32, Lamentations for Pharaoh. On the first day of the 12th month of the 12th year, the word of Adonai came to me, saying, Son of man, lift up a lament for Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and say to him, You compare yourself to a young lion of nations, but you are a crocodile in the waters. You thrash about in your rivers, and muddy the water with your feet, and foul their streams. Thus says Adonai Elohim, I will throw my net over you with a host of many peoples. They will haul you up in my net. I will leave you on the land. I will hurl you on an open field. I will cause all the birds of the sky to settle upon you, while I gorge the beasts of the whole earth with you. I will strew your flesh on the mountains, and fill the valleys with your refuse. I will drench the land with the flow of your blood up to the hills. The ravines will be full of you. When I extinguish you, I will cover the sky and darken the stars. I will cover the sun with cloud, and the moon will not give her light. I will darken all of heaven's bright lights over you, and set darkness on your land. It is a declaration of Adonai. I will disturb the hearts of many peoples when I bring about your destruction among the nations, into the lands you have not known. I will make many peoples appalled at you. Their kings will be totally aghast at you when I brandish my sword over you. They will shudder every moment, every man for his own life, on the day of your downfall. For thus says Adonai Elohim, the sword of the king of Babylon will come upon you. By the swords of the mighty I will cause your multitude to fall. They are the ruthless among nations. They will devastate the pride of Egypt. All of its multitude will be annihilated. I will destroy all the beasts from beside plentiful water. No human foot will muddy them again, nor the hooves of beasts muddy them. Then I will make their waters settle, and make their streams flow like oil. It is a declaration of Adonai. When I make the land of Egypt desolate and waste when it was previously full, when I strike all that live there, they will know that I am Adonai. This is the funeral song. Chant it, daughters of the nations. Chant for Egypt. All her multitude will chant it. It is a declaration of Adonai. On the 15th day of the month in the 12th year, the word of Adonai came to me, saying, Son of man, well over Egypt's throng, bring them down, her and the daughters of the lofty nations, to the underworld, to those who go down to the pit. Who do you surpass in beauty? Go down, lie with the uncircumcised. They fall among those slain by the sword. She is given over to the sword. They drag her down with all her throng. The strongest warriors will speak of him and his allies from the midst of Sheol. They have gone down. They lie still, the uncircumcised, slain by the sword. Assyria is there and all her company. Their graves surround them, all of them slain, fallen by the sword. Her graves are set in the deepest parts of the pit. Her company surrounds her grave, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, who put in terror the land of the living. And there is Elam and all her multitude surrounding her grave, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, who went down uncircumcised into the underworld, who caused terror in the land of the living. They bear their disgrace with those who go down to the pit. They've made her a bed among the slain with all her throng. Her grave is about them, all the uncircumcised slain, fallen by the sword, that they caused terror in the land of the living, so they bear their disgrace with those who go down to the pit. They are laid among the slain. Meshech Tubal is there, and all her throng. Her grave is around them, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword, though they spread their terror in the land of the living. They do not lie with the mighty, the fallen from among the uncircumcised, who went down to Sheol with their weapons of war. They put their swords under their heads. Their iniquities rest on their bones, because of the terror of the mighty ones was in the land of the living. You also will be shattered and lie among the uncircumcised, those who are slain by the sword. Edom is there, her kings and all her princes, who for all her might are laid with those slain by the sword. They lie with the uncircumcised, with those who go down to the pit. The princes of the north are there, all of them. All the Zidonians who have gone down with the slain, ashamed for all the terror caused by their might. They lie uncircumcised with those slain by the sword. They bear their disgrace with those who go down to the pit. When Pharaoh sees them, he will be comforted for all his throng, Pharaoh and all his army slain by the sword. It is a declaration of Adonai. For I have put my terror in the land of the living. He will lie among the uncircumcised, with those slain by the sword, Pharaoh and all his multitude. It is a declaration of Adonai. Ezekiel 33, Watchmen blow the shofar. The word of Adonai came to me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of your people, and say to them, When I bring the sword upon a land, suppose the people of the land take a man from among them and set him as their watchman. If when he sees the sword coming upon the land, he blows the shofar and warns the people, then whoever hears the sound of the shofar but ignores the warning, if the sword comes and takes him away, his blood will be on his own head. He heard the sound of the shofar and ignored the warning. His blood will be on himself. However, if he had taken warning, he would have saved his soul. But if the watchman sees the sword come and does not blow the shofar, the people are not warned. And the sword does come down and takes the person from among them. He is taken away in his iniquity, but his blood I will require at the watchman's hand. You, son of man, I have set you as a watchman for the house of Israel. When you hear the word from my mouth, warn them from me. When I say to the wicked one, you will surely die, and do not speak to warn the wicked about his ways. That wicked one will die in his iniquity, but his blood I will require at your hand. If you warn the wicked of his way to turn from it, and he does not turn from his way, then he will die in his iniquity, but you have saved your soul. You, son of man, say to the house of Israel, you have said, Surely our transgressions and our sins are upon us, and we are pining away in them, so how can we live? Say to them, As I live, it is a declaration of Adonai. I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but as the wicked turn from his way and live, return from your evil ways. Why will you die, O house of Israel? You, son of man, say to the children of your people, the righteous of the righteous person will not deliver him in the day of his transgression, nor will the wickedness of the wicked person make him stumble in it on the day he turns away from the wickedness, nor will the righteous person be able to live by it on the day that he sins. When I tell the righteous that he will surely live, but he trusts in his own righteousness and commits iniquity, none of his righteous deeds will be remembered. But in his iniquity that he has recommitted, he will die. When I say to the wicked, you will surely die, yet he turns from his sin and does what is just and right, if the wicked restores a pledge, gives back what he had taken as robbery, walks in the laws of life, committing no iniquity, then he will surely live. He will not die. None of his sins that he has committed will be remembered against him. He has done what is just and right. He will surely live. Yet the children of your people say, The way of Adonai isn't fair, but it is their way. Theirs is unfair. When a righteous person turns from his righteousness and commits iniquity, he will die in it. When a wicked person turns from the wickedness and does what is just and right, he will live by it. Yet you say, The way of Adonai is not fair. House of Israel will judge every one of you according to his ways. Jerusalem falls. In the 12th year of our exile, on the 5th day of the 10th month, the survivor from Jerusalem came to me, saying, The city has been struck down. The hand of Adonai had been upon me in the evening. Before the survivor came, he had opened my mouth by the time of his coming to me in the morning. So my mouth was open, and I was no longer mute. Then the word of Adonai came to me, saying, Son of man, the inhabitants of these ruins in the land of Israel keep saying, Abraham was the only one, yet he inherited the land. Since we are many, the land is given to us as a possession. Therefore say to them, thus says Adonai Elohim, you eat with the blood, lift up your eyes to idols and shed blood. Should you possess the land, you rely on your sword, commit abominations, and each of you defiles his neighbor's wife. Should you possess the land, say this to them, thus says Adonai Elohim, as I live, surely those who are in the ruins will fall by the sword. Whoever is in the open field, I will give to the beast to be devoured, and whoever is in the strongholds and in the caves will die of the plague. I'll make the land a desolation and horror. The pride of her power will cease. The mountains of Israel will be desolate so that no one will pass through. They will know that I am Adonai when I have made the land a desolate waste because of all their abominations that they have committed. Now as for you, son of man, the children of your people are talking about you by the walls and in the doorways of the houses. Each one speaks to one another, each saying to his brother, come now, hear what message is coming from you, forth from Adonai. So they come to you as people come and sit before you as my people and hear your words. But they do not do to them. For their mouth they express doting love, but their heart goes after their own dishonest gain. Look, you are like a love song to them, the one who has a beautiful voice and can play well on an instrument. They hear your words, but do not practice them. When this comes to pass, behold, it is coming. They will know that a prophet has been among them. Ezekiel 34, Adonai our shepherd. Word of Adonai came to me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, Shepherds, thus says Adonai Elohim, Oi, the shepherds of Israel, who only take care of themselves. Should the shepherd not take care of the sheep? You eat the fat. You clothe yourself with wool. You kill the fat ones, but you do not take care of the sheep. You do not strengthen the weak, heal the sick, bind up the broken, bring back the stray, or seek the lost. Instead, you have ruled over them with force and cruelty. They were scattered for lack of a shepherd. They became food for all the beasts of the field. They were scattered. My sheep wandered through all the mountains, and on every high hill over all the face of the earth. My sheep were scattered. No one searched, no one sought. Therefore, shepherds, hear the word of Adonai. As I live, it is a declaration of Adonai. Surely as my sheep became prey, and my sheep became food for all the beasts of the field, because there was no shepherd, nor did my shepherds search for my flock, but the shepherds fed them and did not feed my sheep. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of Adonai. Thus says Adonai Elohim, Behold, I am against the shepherds, and I will demand my flock from their hand. I will dismiss them from tending the flock. The shepherds will no longer feed themselves. I will rescue my sheep from their mouths, so they will not be food for them. For thus says Adonai Elohim, Here I am, I myself will search for my sheep and seek them out. As a shepherd seeks out his sheep on the day he is among his scattered flock, so I will seek out my sheep. I will rescue them out of all the places where they have been scattered on a day of cloud and thick darkness. I will bring them out from the peoples. I will gather them from the countries. I will bring them back to their own land. I will shepherd them upon the mountains of Israel, by the streams, and in all the habitable places of the land. I will shepherd them in a good pasture. Their grazing place will be on the high mountains of Israel. They will lie down on good grazing ground. They will feed in a rich pasture on the mountains of Israel. I will tend my flock and make them lie down. It is a declaration of Adonai. I will seek the lost, bring back the stray, bind up the broken, and strengthen the sick. But the fat and the strong I will destroy. I will tend to them with justice. As for you, my flock, thus says Adonai Elohim, Behold, I will judge between sheep and sheep, between rams and male goats. Was it too little for you that you were feeding in the good pasture? Must you trample down the rest of your pastures with your feet? You are drinking clear water. Must you muddy the rest with your feet? Yet my sheep must eat what you have trampled with your feet and drink what you have muddled with your feet. Therefore thus says Adonai Elohim to them, Behold, I myself will judge between the fat sheep and the lean sheep, because you thrust with your side and with shoulder, and gore all the weak with your horns, until you have scattered them all over. I will save my flock. They will no longer be prey. I will judge between sheep and sheep, so I will set up one shepherd over them, my servant David. He will tend them. He will feed them himself and be their shepherd. I, Adonai, will be their God, and my servant David will prince among them. I, Adonai, have spoken. I will make a covenant of shalom with them. I will remove the evil beasts from the land, so they will dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the forest. I will make them in the places around my hill a blessing. I will cause the rain to come down on its season. There will be showers of blessing. The tree of the field will yield its fruit. The ground will yield its produce. They will be secure in the land. Then they will know that I am Adonai, when I have broken the bars of their yoke and have delivered them from the hand of those who enslaved them. They will no longer be prey to the nations. The beasts of the earth will not devour them. They will live in security. No one will make them afraid. I will make their agriculture renowned. They will no longer be consumed with hunger in the land. They will no longer bear the scorn of their God. Am with them. They, the house of Israel, are my people. It is the declaration of Adonai. So you, my sheep, the sheep of my pasture, you are human, and I am your God. It is a declaration of Adonai Elohim. Ezekiel 35, Edom made desolate. The word of Adonai came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it. Say to it, Thus says Adonai Elohim, Behold, I am against you, Mount Seir. I will stretch out my hand over you, and make you utterly desolate. I will lay your cities waste. You will be devastated, so you will know that I am Adonai. Because you have a long-standing hatred, and have delivered Bnei Israel to the power of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time of their final punishment. Therefore, as I live, it is a declaration of Adonai, I will destine you for blood, and bloodshed will pursue you. Since you did not hate bloodshed, therefore bloodshed will pursue you. I will make Mount Seir an utter desolation. I will cut it off from it all who come and go. I will fill its mountains with its slain. On your hills, your valleys, and all your streams, those slain by the sword will fall. I will make you everlasting desolations. Your cities will not be inhabited. Then you will know that I am Adonai. Because you said, these two nations and these two lands will be mine, we will possess them, though Adonai was there. Therefore, as I live, it is a declaration of Adonai. I will deal with you with the same anger and envy that you had because of your hatred against them. I will make myself known among them. When I judge you, you know that I, Adonai, have heard all your blasphemies that you uttered against the mountains of Israel, saying, they are laid desolate. They are given for us to devour. You have magnified yourselves against me with your mouth. You multiplied your words against me. I heard it. Thus says Adonai Elohim. When the whole earth rejoices, I will make you desolate. As you rejoiced over inheriting the house of Israel because it was desolate, so I will do to you. You will be desolate, Mount Seir, and all Edom, all of it. Then they will know that I am Adonai.